Both former Mets talked to the media today. One bashing the New York Mets on his way out. We're going to talk about that, plus the pitching options that are available for the New York Mets. Where can they pivot? And is David Stearns going to be stingy with the money this year? We're going to tell you next on Metcast. What's going on, Met fans? Welcome back to another offseason edition of Metcast, a live version for you. Of course, I'm always Ray with my co-host Dan Bartels of the New York Post. If this is your first time here, consider subscribing. Make sure all the fans of the platform smash that like button and consider becoming a member. If you want to be or have your voice heard, check out down below in the description the final line to become a member of the ever-growing community. A lot of things happening with the platform, and thank gosh, I have you guys here, Dan here with me, but especially you in the chat, because I've been firing away over on X after seeing the bull crap Edwin Díaz put out there. And yes, it is bull crap, and I will call it out. I will not take the company line. I absolutely refuse to do that. Some people are saying I'm going overboard, but at this point, I don't care. Quote from Edwin Díaz in his introductory press conference today from the LA Dodgers. It wasn't easy. I spent 7 years in New York. They treat me really good. They treat me really great. But then he goes on to say it was an easy decision. It was an easy decision. He talks about wanting to play for a perennial winner, a champion. That is the ultimate shot at the New York Mets. Talking about, I want to play for a winner. Knowing where the Mets are and their circumstances, I'm telling you guys right now, we've been talking about it since April, the issues that were happening in this clubhouse, and I'm letting you know right now, they are way worse than we could ever have predicted. You have Brandon Nimmo taking shots at the run prevention stuff on the way out, Edwin Díaz taking shots on his way out. You have Devin Williams saying that I could have got a closer role anywhere, but I came to the New York Mets. The cutthroatness of David Stearns is rifling through this clubhouse. And right now, and deservedly so, I understand where some Met fans are saying, well, Ray, no one's going to want to pick up the phone. At the end of the day, money talks, but I want to cycle back to something that we heard all spring training and offseason, Dan. What did we hear constantly? The Mets are building this family-oriented, everybody's screw that. That's what David Stearns said. The familyness, the closeness, all that crap. Remember, we had guys re-signing like Jesse Winker saying, I love it, the family environment, wanting to be a part of a family type of organization. That has gone out the window. You have 3 out of the 5 of your core gone, and I really believe that Dan, if Stearns had his way, Lindor would be the next one to follow, but I'm pretty sure that contract is just simply untradeable.
You were hearing that from Mr. Steve Phillips, and Ray, great to be with you. Thank you, everybody, for being here on a Friday night. Big day, Mets land, right? We'll get to everything with Pete. We'll get with Diaz, of course. But, yeah, I think there's just – you heard the stuff with the Padres. I don't believe that to be true at all. But it was Mason Miller and Xander Bogaerts for Francisco Lindor. That was the rumor. That was starting to pick up steam at the GM meetings, little talk at the winter meetings. I don't believe, again, there's too much hurdles. You have Lindor, who has a no trade, and Xander Bogaerts, who has a no trade. I just don't see it happening. So get that thought out of your mind. Just like Tatis being traded from San Diego. Could happen, but probably not likely. Anyway, Diaz today. Yeah, those comments were interesting, Ray. Like, I understand the reason you want to play for the Dodgers. I think everybody understands the reason. They are going to three-peat. They're a very good team. And Diaz slots right in as their closer when Tanner Scott is not their closer, even though they gave him this crazy contract as well. Shows what the Dodgers are willing to do to win. Something that the Mets are not doing right now, which is very frustrating to their fans. But Diaz is Kevin Durant. We said it the night of. Like, he left a good team in the Mets. They weren't winning, sure, but they were very close to winning. And if you stayed, that would have been a really good piece to that puzzle. But I just don't trust Stearns' ability to communicate with players. I don't think that he has that people skill. He's very smart. He is a very smart individual. He is a great baseball executive, but there's certain parts of his aspects that he's not really great at. He's good at drafting. I don't know if he's good at trading. I don't know if he's good at evaluating talent, because there was a lot of talent that you didn't bring back last year. Jose Quintana, we could keep going. But the fact that Diaz was blindsided by a Devin Williams signing and he wasn't in the loop, you couldn't give him a call. You couldn't say, hey, this is our plan, because after everything broke with Mr. Devin Williams joining the Mets, immediately Martino, immediately DeComo, Heyman, yeah, the Mets are still aggressive. They're still going to pivot. They're still going after Diaz. If that was the case, you should have let him know. And clearly you didn't. Clearly he got spooked, and he took the best offer that he thought he went to the Dodgers. So let's get screwed.
Hey, I wonder, Dan. Maybe you guys let me know if you guys talk to David Stearns. Is he still feeling optimistic about this offseason? I mean, let's get right into it. Right before we came on here, we got the breaking news, Dan. You want to break down the contract. Tyler Rogers is gone to Toronto. Another guy the Mets were quote-unquote interested in. What I find hysterical is I tweeted this out there, and it must have gotten 1,000 likes. I'm going to create a shirt saying David Stearns is interested in ... because when it was the Wilpon era, and I'm not comparing this to the Wilpon era, I'm saying it's the Wilpon era, but we always heard Brody's in on this guy. Brody checked in. We have checked in on everybody. And it's funny because you look at all of the acquisitions that we've made this offseason. We've made one, Devin Williams. Brandon Nimmo's gone. Well, Simeon, you want to say that? Nimmo's gone. Diaz gone. Alonso's gone. Rogers gone. Gregory Soto's gone. They still have to build an entire bullpen. And this is something I wanted to talk about. You want to break down that contract really quick before I get to my next point?
Let's break it down. 3 for $37 million. John Heyman confirms that he is going to Toronto. Very interesting move, right? The Mets don't get another piece to their bullpen. That's the next question, Ray. Who is the next guy that the Mets are going to add? Because you're right. Sent out a tweet last night. The Mets have a problem, and you pointed it out perfectly. All these players that are leaving, all these players that are waiving no trade clauses, they don't want to be here. And there's clearly something wrong with the Mets. Whether I don't think it's the way they treat their players. I think they're a really well-run franchise from that perspective. Alex Cohen does a great job. The family room. I believe all that stuff to be true. But you can't also then not go and extend your hand, communicate, pay, put in an offer. These are all things that just really irk me. But Tyler Rogers going up to Toronto, loading up that bullpen for them. And they're loading up. They want to go back to the World Series. They want to win the World Series. They came 2 outs away from winning that. So it's just very interesting. It could increase the value to $48 million with some vesting options in there. So interesting to think about, but no deferrals, Ray, on the contract.
Yeah, I'm not sure I would have done that for Rogers. Look, he was a solid player for the Giants last year. He was okay for us. He's 35 years old. He throws an 82-mile-an-hour fastball. What?
12.3 a year.
Yeah. And I think there could be other better options out there. The issue is, Dan, it's starting to shrink. The higher end part of the market is going. And I put this out there earlier today, about 5 hours ago. A lot of interaction, so I appreciate you guys over on X. But here's something that I had for you guys. I'm so blessed for some of the people that I get to talk to around the league that, I've had these relationships for years, from when before they even got into a front office. It says, I spoke with a league source who was at the winter meetings. They told me that the Mets are definitely in on Cody Bellinger. So it perked my ears. I said, oh, really? Let's see. Oh, they're actually in. They're actually going to pursue Bellinger. And then they proceeded to say, well, hold on. Stearns has a price in mind of what he's worth. And I would be shocked if he goes beyond that. Now, that price could be higher than the Yankees, could be higher than some of the other teams. I totally understand that. But one thing this offseason has taught us more than any other offseason, Stearns sees a picture of a player and says, this guy's worth this. They will not go $1 more. And I also saw that we didn't talk about this on our last live with that whole Edwin Díaz situation. John there's multiple other teams that were out there that supposedly had longer offers for Diaz, I seen, and he chose the Dodgers. I mean, here's the issue, Dan. I feel so dumb even saying this, so forgive me. We're supposed to be quote unquote Dodgers East. That's what we're supposed to be. And when you have arguably your best player, your most consistent player last year, who was an all-star, who's probably a top 2 player at his position, walk for similar money, and the first thing he says is, it was pretty easy. I want to win. Like, there's some major flaws here. And look, I see people in the comments saying, Ray, we're tanking 2026. They're not going for it. They're going to put players out there, but they're not going to be the ones we want. Who the hell really wants Contreras from the Cardinals? He put up okay numbers on a god-awful team. No pop. He gets a lot of RBIs, but the guy's already like 33, 34, a couple years of control. At that point, just pay Pete Alonso. It's the same age. Oh, but he's a plus defender. I'm going to start calling us the New York Brewers at this point. That's what I feel. I mean, for years we did deals with Tampa nonstop. You see that all the time. Like, I'm just like, damn, absolutely sick to my stomach. And I look at it like this. You could go out there and get a Cody Bellinger. That's fine. You're still not winning anything. You're not making the playoffs. This roster, you just add Cody Bellinger and ride with that roster with a platoon in center field. This team is far worse than the team last year, because I don't know what Bellinger is going to be at Citi Field. He mashed in a hitter-friendly park at Yankee Stadium, and on the road, his OPS was right over 700. I mean, Brandon Nimmo blows the doors off of this guy offensively as an all-around player. Go look at the stats. Look at Cody Bellinger's, not 25. Go look at his 24. Go, not his 23. Go look at his 22. He's the most inconsistent player in baseball. Yes, he's an elite defender. And I'm not saying I wouldn't want him. I would want him. But my biggest fear is that they're going to try to sell us a pipe dream. Cody Bellinger's the answer, and that's all they're going to do. I don't know what you think about that, Dan. Give me your thoughts.
There's not many options left, right? And I hate to say that. There's always options, but you're probably going to have to make a trade at some point. Like, whether it's for a starter, whether it's for a bat, you're going to have to go into the trade market, because free agency just isn't there for the Mets. I don't know why they're not spending money, and it feels very weird, and I don't know what their plan is. Nobody does. Nobody saw this to this extent. Like, if you want to sell me on, oh, I saw Brandon Nimmo getting traded, that's fine. Oh, I saw them maybe not bringing back Peter. Oh, maybe they weren't going to pay Diaz. That's fine to piece it all together as you will. But to sit here and now half the team is gone, half the proven players are gone, there's now a desire to go and add. And I just don't know. I think the Mets want to remain flexible. You're right about Bellinger. There's concerns from the Yankees side with Bellinger as well. It's not just the Mets concerns. There's some injury concerns in there as well. He's a great defender. He can be a really good piece for this team where you plug and play him with the Mets in the first base upside. But that's where the Contreras stuff comes in. Even though there's 2 years remaining, he can be a catcher. He can be a leader to Francisco Alvarez. I'm not a fan of the move either. I would trade for a legitimate first baseman like a Spencer Torkelson. Do right by the fans and try to replace Pete. At least try to replace him with a competent player that isn't, betting again. Stearns always betting. I mean, he's going to fit really well in with this casino that he's going to be betting on all these players, because he does a lot of that. And sometimes they work. And I hope Contreras does if he is a New York Met, or Yandy Diaz, if that's another name we always hear floating around. It better work. And that's always what I go back to. Carson Bench better be a good player, because if we have to keep passing up on these other opportunities to go and sign big guys or go trade for big guys because we got the young prospects and Carson Bench, Ray, he better be a multiple-time All-Star.
Right.
So, and real quick, and I'll give it back to you. Like, I always go back and forth with people in the spaces. Sometimes, Brett Beatty, it took a longer time for him to emerge than other guys, and I shouldn't have to wait for a Brett Beatty. Like, when Nimmo got into the league, his second year in the league, he had a 148 OPS plus. You know what Brett Beatty's OPS plus was his second full year in the league? An 81. So, like, we're used to success. We know what a good player looks like when they first get into the league. Pete Alonso mashed 53 home runs when he first got into the league.
PCA was good.
PCA was good when he first got into the league. Like, Carson Bench better be that guy. So much there. Bellinger could be a factor, but you got to go and get somebody of significance in here, please.
And here's the issue, Dan. You look at Bellinger. He's not going to mash lefties. You can't have him be the protection for Soto. Right now, who's the protection? Soto's looking behind him. You have lefty McNeil, lefty Beatty. You would have a lefty Bellinger. You need a big right-handed bopper in here. Who's it going to be? You're not going to put Lindor behind Soto. Alvarez, you're going to trust Francisco Alvarez, who's never had an 800 OPS, to be the protection of Juan Soto? Like, I'm not saying Stearns is over his head, because there's still a lot of offseason, and I'm well aware of that. Look, I see your guys' comments. I see the comments over on X talking about you got to be careful. It's not over. And there's going to be a lot of trades. All I keep hearing, it's funny because Bob Nightingale once again swing and miss. There's going to be a robust trade market as we proceed through the offseason, winter meetings. We expect a lot of trades before all these signings. Everybody's signing, Bob, and literally no trades have happened. And I will believe the Mets will make the necessary trades when we finally see it. When's the last guy? David Stearns, this is year 3. Who's the big player you went out and traded for? Where's the big starting pitcher that we desperately needed last year that he went out and got, Dan? It's a zero. You have guys like Zach Gallen, who you could have got for a bag of freaking balls out there, and he didn't go and get him. You have all this money coming off the books, and I don't know where it's going to go. And then you see the reports from earlier, whether or not, I don't know if they're true or not. I have spoken to a couple people that I know. They said they cannot verify any offers to Kyle Tucker right now. It kind of to be hush-hush. But I saw a report out there that the Toronto Blue Jays are potentially willing to go $400 million, which takes the Mets right out. But even then, you're going to hit Tucker and Soto back-to-back? You're really going to do that? I mean, Lindor should give up right-handed hitting. We've been saying that for how long? Mauricio should give up right-handed hitting. Acuna can't hit, period. Like, this roster was overhauled, but to me, overhauled the wrong way. And I hate this argument. And Dan, maybe you think different. Everyone keeps saying, well, the Mets lost with Diaz. They lost with Alonso. They lost with Nimmo. They could lose without them. If that always worked, then the Yankees should trade Aaron Judge. San Diego should trade Tatis. That's where we're at right now. That is such a bull crap argument. No, you take your best players and you add. You bring Pete back and you add a Bellinger behind him and give him finally the protection we've been screaming for forever. That's where I'm at. You got to do that. But before we do that, we got a couple super chats. I appreciate you guys so much for this. We'll start off with Hakeem. Get Lindor out of here. He's too goofy for New York. He's the real problem and slowly getting exposed. I didn't say it. It was Hakeem. I said it last year. There is an issue. And when we go around the league, Hakeem, great super chat. Thank you so much for that. Address this right now again. I've addressed it in the past, but we'll address it now. Lindor, McNeil got into a fight. Lindor promises to buy McNeil a car if he wins the batting title. It took a year. Lindor wants his best friend on the team in Javier Baez, and he's here for 1 month, and he's giving the middle finger to the fans with those thumb down comments. Let's not forget about that. So they say goodbye to him. Now, Soto comes in, and we reported it in April. I don't know how it just got out there now, Dan, but now all of a sudden there's a rift between Lindor and Soto. There's one common denominator. Oh, let's not forget this past season. What was it in May, Dan, when McNeil and Soto and Lindor get into it again? 3 players, 3 different issues, one common denominator. That's all I'm going to say. And unfortunately, look, I like Lindor as a player. I'm not going to judge him as a person. I don't know him from Adam. But when I see the circle going around, it's one guy in the middle where there's an issue. Thank gosh, this team did not name that guy captain, Dan.
Yeah, it's a very interesting topic, and this is one that we're going to have forever in Mets land. I don't know if he ever gets named captain because of all the things you mentioned. I think that time passed. That time could have been David Wright weekend, the passing of the torch. It actually would have been a bad time to do it too. So I don't know what the future is with that. Do the Mets even need a captain? Always a debate. I like Lindor. I really respect what he's done. He's the greatest shortstop in this franchise's history, and he is a leader. He does lead by example, but I don't know if he's the full encompassing leader that we need him to be. And that's not a knock on Lindor. Some guys are just different. Some guys can wear the pressure of the team, and I think Lindor does a really good job of answering the press conference questions after every game. That's not easy. And for someone who is in those trenches, and I get it, like it's not the thing you want to be doing after a game. You want to go home to your wife and kids. You want to go home. You want to have a beer. You want to just not be talking to media after you lose a tough game. And Lindor would always, after those tough games, talk and just he's good at those things. But it is that rift between Lindor and Soto that is frustrating. It's clearly evident. It is a thing. And I think it's on Cohen. And this is where, again, when I go back to those conversations about Devin Williams and Edwin Díaz and David Stearns and that miscommunication from David Stearns not treating these guys as people, you need to treat Lindor and Soto like people and put them in a room together, sit down, and just say, hey, you guys are the two franchise cornerstones of this team moving forward. Nemo's not here anymore. Pete's not here anymore. Diaz not here anymore. This is your team. I need you guys to work out whatever it is. You don't have to love each other, but just figure it out because we have invested a lot of money into both of you.
And you're not going anywhere. You are not going anywhere.
Thank you.
Carlos, another super chat. Thank you so much, my guy. Let's get into it. Hey, guys, I'd respect Stearns more if he owed losing Diaz, now Tyler Rogers to the Blue Jays. Who is this guy and what is he doing with this roster? Hey, I actually think that's a very good point. If Stearns actually came out instead of saying we're optimistic, and Carlos, thanks so much again. That's a great point. If he stopped saying that, Dan, and actually said, you know what? We would have loved to have Diaz back. And unfortunately, I was not able to get it done. How about that? New York is all about second chances. Not even second chances, but let's be real, Dan. It's like, this guy, it's like talking to a robot. And if you win, it's fine. I always say it like this. Everybody, and Dan, you know, as a diehard Giants fan, you know better than anybody because he coached for you once. Bill Belichick is the most snobby guy in the world, but no one cares because he wins. You know when that doesn't work? It doesn't work when you're Aaron Glenn of the Jets sucking and being a snob. Now you're forced to go apologize to the media. And unfortunately, and I wish this was more, I wish the media, us, everybody else who reports on this team had better access to the general managers, because it's really the managers who get the blunt of it. And Carlos Mendoza is not responsible for player acquisition. I think that's a great super chat there, Carlos. And I appreciate it again. Dan, you want to give your comments on it?
Yeah, I think 100%. Stearns needs to comment. You're right with the Belichick stuff. I'll do you one better. How about Bill Parcells? You think he treated the media well, Ray, as a Jets fan?
No.
So there is some of that. A nice way Aaron Glenn to open his press conference today, making the joke about Phillip Rivers. He's going to now suit up. Aaron Glenn was joking. But listen, and he also evolves, right? That's what Aaron Glenn's doing. He's now poking fun at the media, right? He's now giving it back to them. He's kind of loosening up a little bit. We need Stearns to do that. Like, I'm all for the buttoned-up approach. I'm all for the no leaks, even though there's still some leaks in that organization, but that's a different conversation. There needs to be some clarity with the fans, right? When the Knicks fire Tom Thibodeau and we don't hear from Leon Rose, like, that's an issue. But the Knicks have always been an issue with the media. The Mets, you should be pretty transparent. And the fact that the night of you're not commenting on the thing, it's like, all right, well, then what are we doing here? So Stearns needs to own up to it. He needs to come through and hopefully meet the media soon. I think he will. But you're right, that transparency and guys are going off the board, and Mets fans don't have any answers.
And I will say, I think Andre sums up a lot of it as I'm going through your guys' comments, starring a lot of it. So we're going to get to a lot of your comments later. I promise, especially the members. You guys know we're going to answer as many of your questions as possible. Take your thoughts. Get your thoughts out there. That's why we've been doing the members stuff a lot, because we get inundated with comments. We're live on Instagram, X. You know, there's 1,500 people in here, and that's how we sort it out there. But Andre puts it right here. Guys, Stearns is the wrong guy for this team. And I think, look, I'm not saying it's too early for that for me. It's not fair to give Brody Van Wagenen the leash that we gave him, the Billy Epler that we gave him. But here's my thing. One thing, Stearns, we've said, Dan, and I see the super chat that just came in. I'll get to it in one sec. One thing we could say about Stearns is he doesn't lie. He says it how it is. Major changes need to happen. What happened last year cannot happen again, and I respect the hell out of that. But I hope he's honest with the direction of this team. Don't try to act like we are dumb. If you are going to do a retool/rebuild for 1 year, let us know. We will accept it as Mets fans. We've been through way worse. I remember finishing second to last, dead last, getting our asses kicked all year. I've been there and done it, and we've come out the other side greater. A la 2015, you had the collapse of 07. I'm okay. But don't lie. If you're going to sell us a bag of goods, just tell the truth. You know what? We're looking to progress this year, see some more from our youth. We really want to infuse youth into this team, and then we're going to evaluate at the end of the year where we are at, and we're going to try to make the playoffs with our youth, and if we're in it at the deadline, we plan to add. Dan, if he told you that straight up, you'd accept it, I would assume, right?
Mm-hmm.
We wouldn't be happy with it, but we could say, you know what? I respect him for telling us that. He's done it in Milwaukee, and it worked out there. Don't tell me. Like, when I see Steve Cohen, and I love Steve Cohen, everybody knows that. But when I see him say, we plan to compete for a playoff spot, it's like a la 2 years ago all over again. I don't want to hear that. Dodgers East, no, we plan to win a title this year. This is year 6. Higher ticket prices. When Steve Cohen bought the team, parking was $20. It's now $40. The third row, I used to sit first row behind home plate in the third deck all season long. That ticket was $28 for season ticket holders. For regular people, it's $35 to $38. Dan, when we went, I paid $120 a ticket for those, and I'm willing to do it. I'm willing to pay the price. Met fans are too, clearly. 3 million of us strong showed up last year. Don't try that, because Tuesday night, place will be empty. But with that said, we got another super chat I want to grab really quick. Just seeing it pop up. And thank you for I see there's 3 or 4 new members of the podcast. Guys, that is awesome. I'm working on building a Discord for us to all chat. Dan and I will be in there, and some of our guests will be in there as well. Hint, hint. So we'll be doing that for all the members so we could chat all day long. So if we're angry, we'll let it out amongst each other. With that said, Sean, thanks so much, my guy. Appreciate it. Why is Mendoza totally off the hook for the inter-team conflicts? He seems like such a people pleaser, wants to be like everybody, so won't take sides to settle a dispute. Dan, I'll let you answer because I've gone off on Mendoza how many times? Go ahead.
Yeah, I think you look at basically where he came from when you think about Carlos Mendoza. He came from the school of Aaron Boone, the tree of Aaron Boone. Aaron Boone naturally is a people-pleasing coach. He is a player-first coach. He tells you what you want to hear, and he has a good relationship with the players. Mendy is a bit of the same, and actually a lot of the same. And I think that's good because the Mets clearly with Buck Showalter, they let him out the door. That was like when David Stearns was first getting introduced to the team. Buck Showalter talks about it sometimes. He's like, all he really knows of David Stearns was the day that he met him when he was leaving. He said, nice to meet you, good luck. And that's the only conversation they've ever had. So you kick out a guy in Buck Showalter, and I still think to this day a lot of that had to do with his age. Something about it. They wanted a younger guy, which is all fine and good, but that's kind of they push Buck Showalter out. They bring in Mendy, player coach, different environment. He's going to tell you what you want to hear, and I think he does get off the hook because they've axed all the coaches now. He's a lame duck. The blame now goes on him if the Mets stink, but you get past it originally because he had that good relationship with the players. Nobody was throwing him under the bus. I always love to relate the Knicks into this. At their exit meetings, they were all throwing Tom Thibodeau under the bus. Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby, there was all like they did not approve of him. I think with the Mets exit meetings, they liked Mendy and they were okay with having him come back and be the guy that leads the charge with the new coaching staff. But Ray, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, well, think about that. Tom Thibodeau, a hard ass coach. I think it's safe to say that, right? Mendy, the people pleaser. I agree with you. Shane, excuse me. I've been calling for Mendoza's job since the end of the season. When you are 21 games over 500, not making the playoffs when half the league makes the playoffs is beyond unacceptable to me. And it should be unacceptable to David Stearns and Steve Cohen. Like, you really make the scapegoat Jeremy Hefner and his staff. You have Eric Chavez. I mean, I'll tell you one thing. I can't say it on air what I would like to say to Eric Chavez, but I have plenty of things to say. Dogging on Mets fans on the way out, laughing at us for losing Pete, saying we deserve everything that we get because this guy is so sorry he got fired by the Mets. Give me a break, Eric Chavez. But besides that, how about guys like Adam Ottavino criticizing the way that Mendoza handled the bullpen? Hell, I heard that there's players that were in there that agreed with him, but because they're in the major leagues, they refuse to say anything. Why was Edwin Díaz so happy to get the hell out of here? Why is Tyler Rogers happy to get the hell out of here? Why is Gregory Soto happy to, you guessed it, get the hell out of here? I mean, the writing's on the wall. And look, that's the issue when you put a win now team with a manager who's never managed a game in his life. And I'm not saying Mendoza can't be a good manager, but he would have been good 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago. Not when you get Soto, the expectations are through the roof, and you have a guy that players don't trust in there. That's how I look at that.
Right.
And I 100% agree with you. And the biggest fear that I have, Dan, Mendoza is going to manage differently because your colleague, not because of your colleague, but your colleague, Mike Puma, put it out there. He may have a short leash to start the season. That's the last thing I want to hear. Mm-hmm. So he starts acting out of character because he's going to feel the hot seat. That's where we're at. I think the manager of the New York Mets or future manager is actually in the organization. And I think the players will respect the hell out of him. And when you have high-end talent the way the Mets do, that's clashing. There's nothing better than getting a great player, probably future Hall of Famer in Carlos Beltran in the dugout. There's a reason why they're holding on to him. There's a reason why they wanted him years ago. And I think eventually he will make his way down. And he's going to be able to look at Soto and say, yo, cut the shit. Lindor, cut it off. That's what I say with that. I really think that, Dan, because when a former player speaks, when Aaron Boone speaks, there's a different perspective. You hear it in NFL locker rooms. The Jets players, might not be winning, but they say, you know what? We believe everything Aaron Glenn says because he's been in the dogfight. Carlos Beltran is an all-time great. He will probably be in the Hall of Fame. He's got Mets records. He came here from Kansas City, and it's like, change this franchise around. Yes, everyone wants to talk about the strike three. It's not about that. But that's what I think. And CPEP, I see the super chat. Appreciate it, my guy. Longtime viewer of the show. You have a comment right underneath that. Let me get to it really quick. I find it very hard to believe that Stearns does not have a plan. He is way too smart for that. Let Stearns cook. I agree. To an extent. How long do you wait? Dan, how long do you wait?
Until opening day. That's how long I wait.
And a lot of fans are going to take that perspective. You know what it is? We're antsy. Very antsy, including myself. I'm a fan like you guys. Just because we have all these nice guests on this show, and you guys see I keep it a buck with the guests. I don't lie. I don't sugarcoat anything. Dan doesn't sugarcoat anything. But when you hear, like, it's more about the comments from the former players. Like, oh, Dan.
Todd Frazier.
Pete Alonso in an Orioles uniform, bro.
We'll get to that. You hear Todd Frazier's comments too? Basically,
I didn't. I saw he put some. What did he say?
Who's
hear all-time great Todd Frazier. The only thing he's known for is a Little League World Series. Let's hear it.
Well, the way the Mets are basically treating their players, letting their guys go, basically what we're saying, who's going to want to go to the Mets? You heard similar stuff with Ottavino too. Like, more players are saying this stuff. It's not a good look for us. We're supposed to, again, be a World Series championship contending team. I'm okay with the mindset of just making the playoffs, building a sustainable winner. I know everybody's not privy to that because people have been fans a lot longer than I have, and people just want to win. I understand that too. You're in New York City. But there's also levels to building a baseball team. It takes time. I do think Stearns is going to have a plan. I don't think he's just doing this because he doesn't like Brandon Nimmo or stuff like that. I don't like the way he handled certain things. I think we gloss over the idea that he didn't kick Brandon Nimmo out. He did. He basically weaseled down the conversation to the point where Nimmo had no other option but to waive his no trade. But how come when Kodai Senga and Will Salmon of The Athletic reports that, oh, the Mets approached Kodai Senga about trying to trade him, and Senga said, no, I'm okay, I'd rather stay. Why do we not talk about that? And like, we're supposed to be okay with it. Like,
he's supposed to be okay with it. When spring training, hey, David, you tried to send me to, Cuba.
Unbelievable, man. It really is. But there's clearly, yeah.
How did this get out there, Dan? How does the Mets asking Kodai Senga? This is supposed to be the tight-lipped organization. Don't you think? David Stearns says, hey, I want to talk to Kodai Senga and his agent. This stays between us. Are you guys open for a trade? If you're not, it's totally fine. We'll have you here. But if you are, please let us know and give us a list of teams. No, we're not? Okay, perfect. We'll have you back next year. Let's keep this in-house. I want you to be ready. I want you to be dominant this year. How does that get out there?
It puzzles me too. It really does. The Mets they better have a plan. I think they have a plan. But we have to see the plan. And for everybody who's flipping out, you're justified to flip out. Pete Alonso is not a Met. Edwin Díaz is a Los Angeles Dodger.
Oh,
and Brandon Nimmo and Jacob deGrom are both in Texas for the rest of their careers. It's sick to my stomach too. But if we go out and sign Kyle Tucker and we trade for Tarik Skubal, and we bring in Alex Bregman, and we sign Michael King, and we get Pete Fairbanks, and we bring in Yandy Diaz. It's a long laundry list, but then I think it'll all make sense. But until we start seeing some of those moves, the fans in the comments that are flipping out, we don't blame you.
Or about the fan right here on the screen flipping out.
I hear
not
you.
Not flipping out. I want to be real. I've been saying it. I trust David Stearns. If they miss the playoffs this year, you may see a different side of Ray come out. And Dan. I know it's in there with Dan. Dan may seem Mr. Cool, calm, collected. It is in there because he wants to win. We all spend a ton of money on this team. I want to give a couple shout outs. I know it is a few new members of the show. Amanda, appreciate you becoming a new member. Farrow, new member. Shane with the super chat, another new member of the show. Appreciate you guys. Like I said, we're working on a ton of stuff behind the scenes. And I also want to, listen, we can get on to the next topic as of right now.
Please.
And that is the stuff coming out with Tarik Skubal. Actually, you know what? Before we get to that.
Whoa, yeah. Let's give the man his proper flowers here on Metcast. We don't take the time to be, theatrical here, but we'll take the quick second and give quick honor to the great Pete Alonso. Pete, number 20 in a Mets uniform, hopefully is up in the rafters someday. You were a great Met. You have the all-time record in home runs as a New York Met. You are an icon in this town, and we appreciate, hopefully, everybody, we're all in unison here. Thank you, Pete, for your time. And we wish you could have brought you back. The Mets didn't give you an offer. It is what it is. But we did hear Pete Alonso speak to the Baltimore media today, and he talked about, just how excited he is to be a Baltimore Oriole, how the numbers are going to play up for him in that ballpark. Even though they moved left field back last year, they brought in Tyler O'Neill, Gary Sanchez, making those jokes. They move left field back. Pete's still going to mash. He can go to right field. He's still going to mash. And this is a big contract in terms of their history. These are the things that excite me. This is a franchise that has been around since 1901. They're one of the oldest franchises. And this is one of their biggest signings. Actually, it is their biggest signing. In terms of AAV, Pete Alonso, 5 for 155, 31 million AAV a year. No opt-outs. He is there for the long term. And this is the longest signing since 2016, Chris Davis, which a lot of Orioles fans obviously don't want Pete Alonso to become. And I don't think he will. He's going to go into the Hall of Fame.
Pete ain't juicing like that guy was. Yeah. Let's be real.
He's going into the Hall of Fame as an Oriole. I wish him nothing but the best.
Bro, maybe that's wild to me. Yeah, you know what, Dan? I keep thinking about this too. Maybe some of you guys do. It's a sentimental aspect, and I know in the grand scheme of things, it means absolutely zero. But I grew up this way. I grew up. My hero, right there, number 5, David Wright. Watching him play. Watching him retire a Met, it meant everything. Going to the ceremonies, dropping an absolute bag on the exclusive Hall of Fame jacket, which I'll be wearing to the QVC tomorrow in Queens. If you're going to be there, let me know. Come say hello, take a photo. Let's talk some ball if you're going to be at the Queens Baseball Convention tomorrow.
Breaking news. Alexis Diaz is now going to the Texas Rangers. Tyler Anderson also on a 1-year deal to Texas. Edwin's brother going over there, loading up in the bullpen that got Robert Suarez, got Raisel Iglesias. They are a really good team. And now they add another really good arm in Alexis Diaz. So I just wanted to relay that, right?
Yeah. Yeah, but Dan, I think David Stearns signals there's very rare chance you'll ever get a homegrown star retiring a Met. And here's another thing.
I hope not. I hope not. I mean, I hope Nolan McLean or Jonah Tong or Brandon Sproat, one of these pitchers, hopefully retires a Met. But you're right. Who's left? Francisco Alvarez, we're going to have to wait till his career's over. Brett Beatty's going to retire a Met. What are we talking about?
Maybe Nolan McLean, but even then, think about it. Nolan McLean, if he becomes an all-time player, he's on his rookie deal right now. Mets have 6 years of control, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. He'll be a free agent going into age 31. Is Stearns going to extend him big time? That's where we get to, we could talk about the Skubal stuff, but I want to get to one other segment they ran over on SNY talking about, and it's kind of a couple of names that are out of apart from the guys that we've been talking about every day, but Sal Licata, Will Salmon, even Terry was on the show. Shout out Terry Collins, friend of the show. Love Terry. Going to see him tomorrow. See what's up with him. Haven't seen him in about a year or so. I know he's got a lot of things going on, but I want to get to this segment really quick. We'll react with you guys.
Wilson Contreras from the Cardinals could be a possibility. That's been rumored about in trade talks online, etc. He could be an option. I think
online.
Higher than Wilson Contreras, though, at least initially. He's a good option. He's got a good bat, but he's an expensive player that just went over the first base. To his credit, played the position fairly well, but I think they're going to probably want a little bit more security defensively there. Some people to keep in mind, Bellinger, who you mentioned. There's also somebody like Jorge Polanco, I think is a creative choice, actually. Everybody thinks of that guy as a third baseman, maybe a second baseman in this market. I think he could play some first base, too, and that's not really the name that jumps to people's minds, but he's a pretty good offensive player, and I feel like his defense is a little bit underrated. I know he's taken some ground balls at first base. It's just a possibility, right? There are numerous other ones. Ryan O'Hearn is out there in free agency. There's a bunch of other trade candidates that they could explore, but I think they're going to target defense, no surprise, right, from what we've heard all offseason so far, and then just make their way to see the market, act with that discipline, perhaps, Al, and see what's out there.
Okay, I like Polanco. That's not bad. I watched him during the ALCS in Seattle. He's got a lot of power, reliable with the glove. Let me give you a creative one as well. How about Eugenio Suarez? So I actually saw this today that Boston last year at the trade deadline, they were looking at him from the Arizona Diamondbacks and moving him to first base. He's a third baseman. Obviously, he could go and play first base at 49 home runs last year. There's your production, there's your power, and there's your first baseman. Or you could look at the market for Munetaka Murakami. You were just talking about him, right, over in the NPB. He has to make his decision, by the way, in 10 days. Like, that's coming up. That is imminent right now. But if you look at his average and his power from the NPB, his numbers pace Shohei Ohtani. That's how good he is. People are concerned maybe the velocity will be too much for him, but there's a lot of upside. He's primary third base. He could play first base. So I like him a lot too. Those two guys in particular, I think, are creative and would fit the run prevention that the Mets are looking for.
So, Dan, two guys that we haven't really heard about. I like Polanco. I do. Always have liked him. One thing that scares the hell out of me, He's 1 year removed from hitting 213. You look at his stats over the last since 2021, batting average, right? 269, 235, 255, 213, 265. Now, you could also say the same thing with Pete Alonso, 1 year away from hitting 200, right? So you really go with the aggregate, and it's up there. Home run wise, last year, monster year, 30. Excuse me. I'm looking at here we go. Last year for Polanco, 26 homers. In 2024, 16 homers, 23, 14 homers. Not really going to provide the pop. And when you look at his OPSs, it's always pretty much been in the 700s outside of last year, 821. Now, what kind of player is he? Is he, you know what I mean? Is that him now? We don't know. We just don't know. Actually, I have some of the stats actually mixed up. He's 32. So when you look at his home run numbers, 26, 16, 14, 16. That's George Polanco. And another guy they talked about was Suarez. Suarez had he's got the power there, but he's 34. He's already 34. You didn't want to pay Peep. You're going to pay this guy. He's going to get a multi-year contract as well.
More breaking Mets news. And it's a signing to the New York Mets.
Oh, don't even look at me like that, Dan.
Daniel Duarte to a minor league contract. The 29-year-old had a 3.99 ERA in 36 big league innings as a reliever. He has thrown 18 2/3 scoreless innings in the Mexican Winter Ball League, coming off UCL revision surgery, per Mike Mayer. So another signing for the New York Mets. Let's go. They're spending money. Minor league contract. Daniel Duarte. Great.
Guaranteed $200,000.
So that's that. But you're right with the first base options. Jorge Polanco is interesting as a player, but I'm actually intrigued by the Eugenio Suarez stuff. When I first saw that, I was really putting the dots together. First base isn't a position that really takes a lot of skill to learn. Like, it is an acquired taste, no doubt. It takes some footwork. It takes some knowledge of the game and stuff like that, and some athletic ability. But I'd be okay with that. Suarez is a good bat. He's been proven for a long time. He can be that upside at third base if you need it, second base if you need it. That's why I think Brett Beatty, there is a real chance he does get traded this offseason, whether it's for a Bregman or a Suarez or whatever they're going to do, a Bichette potentially. There's always those names, the Polancos too, to throw in the mix, and now Suarez. It's very interesting. Also, too, just of note, Ronnie Mauricio, we mentioned it before, he can't hit from the right side, but tonight he did. He doubled from the right side. So maybe that's something he's looking at, and it could also be a potential first baseman.
Trade him.
We'll see. But that could be an option at first base, too. Brett Beatty could be an option at first base. Anybody but Paul Goldschmidt and Jeff McNeil, and I'm glad John Harper.
Oh, my gosh.
So
that was another rumor out there yesterday. Paul Goldschmidt. Let's just keep grabbing former Yankees who stink.
Yep.
All right. So now we can get into it. Tarik Skubal, your colleague over there, wrote a beautiful article and talked about what it would take to get Tarik Skubal. Something I touched on earlier in an earlier video, but we'll talk about it now. Tarik Skubal. What is your package, Dan, you're willing to give up if you want him for this next year? Maybe it's contingent. You let me know.
So it's one of Jonah Tong or Brandon Sproat. Take your pick, right? I'm fine with giving up one or the other. I'd prefer to keep Jonah Tong if I could. I think the long-term play is there. But if I have to keep Brandon Sproat and trade Jonah Tong, we heard the talks with Joe Ryan and stuff like that, I'm okay with it. So one or the other. Jonah Tong, Brandon Sproat, get your pitcher in return. Jet Williams is good as gone, especially with Marcus Semien. There's other guys coming up. AJ Ewing, Luis Acuna still in the fold. Brett Beatty can still play second base. There's just too much movement there, and he's still high of a prospect where there's value. So be one of Jonah Tong, one of Brandon Sproat, Jet Williams. Now, after this, it gets a little tricky. Ryan Clifford is now ascended in value to the New York Mets. I think he's untradeable to this point. I do, because now that Pete Alonso is not a New York Met, there's reasons why you're hearing Paul Goldschmidt and even Wilson Contreras, 2 years remaining on his deal, but he's not going to play first base all those years. So that's interesting to me. I think Clifford becomes not in the Skubal trade. So Jonah Tong or Brandon Sproat, whoever I said before with Jet Williams, and then you're looking at a pitcher, one prospect, whether it's a Santucci, which I don't want to part with, or a Wenninger. There has to be someone of value that you can send back over to Detroit. It's not a fleece. Like, it's a really good package. It's a really good deal if you have to throw in a David Peterson or something like that, or a Tyrone Taylor or whatever they want. you do it. And that's your deal for Tarik Skubal. I'd love to hear yours, Ray.
How about we talk about your colleagues first?
Let's do that.
Put your seatbelt on, people.
Yep.
Here we go. Jonah Tung.
It's on.
Brandon Sproat. Carson Bench. Jet Williams. Plus another prospect.
It's a lot.
4 top 100 prospects plus another. Probably in your top 12. Now, here's my thing. Can you swap? I'm not giving up Bench. Bench is untouchable. It just is. That's from everybody I've spoken to around the Mets. He's untouchable. Now, look, the trade will happen tomorrow. He'll be in it, and I'll look like a fool. But from everything I've heard, he's untouchable. So now, remember I said you could put a contingency on it. I don't need an extension. I need to know that there's a huge bat coming in left field, a huge bat coming at first base if I'm going to make a move like that. Because my biggest fear is they go say, hey, we're going to sign Cody Bellinger and trade for Skubal. And then you're not winning anything with that. You have to be honest with ourselves. Next year's about making the playoffs and seeing what happens. Fair enough to say? It just is.
Yep.
I mean, we missed the playoffs completely. Got to make strides. So for me, I'm 99% sure I don't want to trade for Skubal. I will sign him in the offseason. That's what I would try to do. I think he has eyes for LA. There's a reason why the Dodgers have put out there they're willing to listen to offers on Tyler Glass now. Why? The guy's a Cy Young Award winner, great pitcher, not making crazy money because they're trying to open up a spot for Skubal. That's what I think. And let's not forget, everyone keeps saying, well, you got to extend him 10 years. He's going to get 10 years, $400 million. That's what I'm guessing he's going to get. But if you give him that now, today, that contract probably won't start until 2028. You're going to be paying him $40 million when he's 39, 40, and 41. Like, you got to look at things down the road as well. This looming lockout pretty much kills the entire market for me long term. That's why Pete was trying to get 7 and teams were saying no. Because if there is a lockout in 27, that contract bumps 1 year. They don't lose a year. If there's no baseball, Tyler Rogers pretty much just got a 4-year deal at 35 years old. That's what you got to look at with that. But, damn, maybe you feel different.
No, Skubal's the guy to go get, right? I mean, no matter what, I get waiting until free agency, and I think that's the smarter play because if Detroit was smart, they would try to win a World Series because we forget how good they were last year. They collapsed worse than the Mets. There was actually a team who was worse than the Mets in terms of collapsing. It was the Detroit Tigers in 2025. So I think if they just retool, bring in a couple more pieces, surround Skubal, you could go for it and be one of these teams in the American League. But guess what? The longer Detroit waits, the more the Blue Jays are going to load up and the more the Yankees are going to do stuff. And look at the American League East. This may be a hot take, and I'll just throw it out there. If someone wants to clip it and send it to me in 6 months, see how bad it aged, please do. I think 4 teams make the playoffs out of the American League East. I think you're having 3 wild card teams come out of that division. So
and I don't think the Orioles are done.
I agree. So yeah, it's interesting, but I don't know. This whole Skubal stuff, he's the guy to go get, but the Mets aren't in a position to bring in Skubal. If they trade for Peralta in the next few weeks and they sign Michael King to a 3-year deal over the next few weeks, okay, trade for Skubal. You have a good rotation. You can compete. As of now, you're adding Skubal to a pile of crap. You think he wants to come here and sign long-term? You're out of your mind.
And that's another issue. You look, I'll tell you right now, it's hurting guys. The way Ottavino spoke about this team, the way Diaz spoke about this team, like it was easy. Like he wanted the hell out of here. Think about it. He says that on the back of not even calling the Mets back to say, hey, this is the offer. Do you want to beat it? He just left us in the dust. Pete leaving. Pete had only nice things to say, but still, teams got to be looking like, hey, Pete's homegrown, the cornerstone of your franchise, the all-time home run leader, and he's only going into his age 31 season, and you let him walk out the door? Like, this is, for me, it's not boding well. It's just not. But with that said, guys, we're going to get to a lot of your guys' comments, a lot of the members. some of the other people over on YouTube. With that said, please like and subscribe if you haven't already. And do me a favor, turn those notifications on because you don't want to miss any of our uploads or any of the breaking news stuff that happens. We're always here to give it to you, and consider becoming a member down in the description. With that said, Burns, what's going on, my guy? One of our members. Guys, the way we have been operating, Bellinger is as good as ours. He's a former Yankee. Yeah, maybe. Tony, I'm bringing this up from X when I typically don't. Or Hearn to the Mets. I said that 2 months ago, Dan. We've actually did a live on it, and I said I think he's going to be the guy.
No. Too many.
I don't want it to be, but look, he ain't going to come at. He's not going to be that expensive. This is a David Stearns special written all over it.
Again, too many lefties, right? Like, I love lefties. I am a lefty. Like,
Same here.
Yeah, like, but there's too many. And Stearns has said, and we take everything Stearns says with, more than a grain of salt. We take it with a bag of salt. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's already said that he wants to remain right-handed. The same stuff with run prevention he said about hitting from the right side. So I can't imagine Ryan O'Hearn is a New York Met in 2026. I can't.
Are they really going to go with Mark Vientos at first base or DH?
No.
They're really going to do this again to us?
Probably DH.
But still, as a DH, he can't hit.
I know. Well, he can when he gets going, and that's his issue. He doesn't stay consistent. Like, if I had August...
How else does he get going?
I know. We got to see it.
Let's see. Last year, 233, 17 homers, and 424 at-bats. They're going to say, well, he'll hit almost 25 homers. His OPS was 702.
He had a great August.
702 for a DH?
I know. Well, look at his August splits. I don't know if you have those accessible, but those are the ones to look at. If you can get that over a full season, like, I know it's not realistic, but Vientos has shown that he can carry a team at a very young age. He did that in 24. Like, I can't forget that as a Mets fan. We shouldn't. It's unfair to Mark Vientos. It's unfair to where the Mets are trying to go as a team.
Okay, August, 79 at-bats, 278, 8 homers, 22 RBIs, 988 OPS. You're like, that's great.
That's pretty good.
Then we go to September.
Yes.
Same amount of at-bats, 184.
Yeah, he fell off. He
565 OPS. Oh, my. And then the month before that, July, 692, which is terrible. For anybody who doesn't know, the month of June, ready for this? The month of June, he had 18 at-bats, right? 278 OPS. He had 2 hits. He was 2 for 18 with a double. 6 strikeouts. See, that's the concerning part for me. 69 at-bats, 16 strikeouts. I mean, the month of September, let's take a look. Month of September, Dan, 76 at-bats, 27 strikeouts. Like, that is alarming. Yeah, that's where I look at.
The sophomore slump was a real thing with Mark Vientos. And again, we talk about this from a hitting perspective adjustment. We don't just talk Mets. We talk ball. We love baseball. When a hitter gets first into the league, they have to prove themselves. It's like in basketball. You're playing pickup at LA Fitness. You have to prove to me, if I'm defending a guy, shoot a 3. If you make it, I'll be forced to guard you behind the perimeter. Like, I totally get that. The Mets have to show us. They have to show us. And until they do, well, it's just going to be the same song and dance.
So Mark put this out there. Mark Vientos has a lazy work ethic, and I see some people asking, how do you know that? I'll tell you how you know it. He told you. He said, not direct quote, let me paraphrase. He came into the year, he knew the job was his. Not saying he didn't work as hard, but it's a different kind of feeling. That's what went around. Remember the issues? I also want to say this. You want to give him a little leeway? It's February, and the Mets are telling him learn first base for the first time ever. Because the stuff with Pete, nobody knew what was going on with Pete. He told you, though. I mean, that's right from the source's mouth.
Right.
Burns follows up. What if this is all a big game of playing possum so we can get more former Yankees and Brewers players? Who knows?
Good one.
Who knows?
Jimmy. Go on, Jimmy.
Grant, Jeannie, what's going on? What's up, dude? What is up, bro? Andre says, David Stearns better figure this mess out. Citi Field is going to be empty. Do you think Skubal deal happens? Dan, gut feeling?
I don't think it happens. Again,
I don't either.
I trust that the Tigers are going to do right by their team and at least see how it looks out of the gate. Very quickly, they can pull the cord. I just don't know if they're going to get that godfatherian offer that they're looking for.
And if he gets traded in, I don't think it's from us.
Right.
I mean, if I'm looking at you add Skubal, Dan, you add Skubal and Bellinger. Are you the best team in the division?
No.
If I'm looking at, I'll tell you who should get I'll tell you what should happen. Detroit should try to get Peralta, and the Brewers should try to get Skubal. I mean, you want to say nobody can compete with the Dodgers? If Milwaukee's team last year added Tarik Skubal, you can now compete with the Dodgers. You could throw 2 aces 4 times. Not saying you're going to win, but it's competitive. And I'll tell you right now, a team, if Peralta or Skubal get traded, watch out for Toronto. They are going for it. They're the definition of going for it. Their division got harder. Them and Boston. Those are the 2 clubs I would look out for. I know Boston just got Sonny Gray, but they're not dumb. They know if you have 2 of those guys at the top of your rotation, a 7-game series, anything is possible, especially coming out of a weaker American League.
I agree.
John checks in. John, hello, boys. What's going on? John, one of our members over there. Andre, wish Mike Rizzo was running this Mets. Maybe he will be in the future. That GM position is still open. You know, guys, I think Stearns is going to be gone after next year. I'd be willing to bet a pizza pie. That is not the case. CPEP, appreciate the super chat before. I find it very hard to believe that Stearns, we read that already, but still appreciate it. Big Frank, how many trades is Stearns going to make? 6? LMAO, come on, bro. I agree. I keep saying the same thing. For a general manager or a PBO, whatever you want to call it, doesn't like to trade his prospects. He's going to have to trade his entire top 20 to get a team on the field.
Right.
Emore says, Mets got to move on. What's done is done. Let's go. Let's play ball. We have enough. I don't know about that. Go with what we have. Take advantage of these mistakes and turn them into good fortunes. Got to believe. Yeah, I don't know what to say to that. Still enough offseason to have other moves done, but I appreciate the optimism. I really do. PB9 says Luis Roberts Jr. If I hear this guy one more time, Dan, a guy who can barely hit 200 with an under 300 OPS, let's bring him in. And why don't we just make the bottom of the lineup Tyron Taylor, Robert Jr., and Simeon? So when we go to the ballpark, the game's over by 8:30. I mean, what do we like? You know, not my type of people knowing much more than I do are in favor of it. So could be good. Just because somebody thinks they know more doesn't. Mel Kiper said that Patrick Mahomes was never going to be a good quarterback. I mean, nobody really knows.
Yep.
The so-called experts drives me nuts. PB says, my brother agrees with Ray. I just had to put that up there. Your brother's a smart man. Twist says, there's going to be a Mets bomb any second. Watch. I'll be your lips to God's ears, my friend. Grant says, keep doing your thing. Dudes, killing it for real. Appreciate you, bro. Burns says, I'm not ready to fire folks, but seats may be getting a little toasty. Well, fire folks. Everybody's been fired outside of Mendoza and Stearns. Literally everybody.
Mendoza's a lame duck. I hate to say it. He just is.
Just speaking facts. Nick says, wholeheartedly believes Stearns is not cut out to be the present pressure of New York. It's too big for him. You know what? Let's be honest, Dan. What they should have done when he first got here, they should have tore it all down then, and they should have started from scratch. They're holding on to something, or they were holding on to something they thought they had when they clearly didn't.
Yeah, I thought there was a fire sale in 23. They let go of Robertson. It started the whole chain link effect.
I guess. Kevin with a super chat. Kevin, appreciate you, my guy, as always. You don't think Diaz was turned of how the Mets turned off. You put turned of. Sorry about that. You don't think Diaz was turned off how the Mets negotiating went down, decided to leave off that? Yes, 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 and yes. And I'll tell you another thing. Yes. I think, and Dan, let me know if you think different. Thank you again, Kevin.
I agree. You know what? I said it before, for sure.
Go ahead.
I agree.
You can't have superstar players on your team that are free agents go sign their potential replacement and come back and say, honey, I'm home. That's not how it works. It's not. Look, hockey's different. Even football's different. As long as it's not a quarterback, you could sign another receiver because you have two of them. You could sign an offensive lineman. Baseball's different. If the Mets would have went out and gotten Ryan O'Hearn and say, oh, we're still interested in Pete, I mean, you wouldn't look at him sideways. And I don't fault Edwin Díaz. I fault for what he says, the crap that he's saying at the podium. I don't appreciate it. Be a professional. We treated you with nothing but professionalism and grace. You came here and were one of the worst players I've ever seen in my entire life, especially under pressure. But we stuck with you through thick and thin. So to crap on us on the way out, I don't appreciate that. But look, that's something that we brought up in the past, Dan. The cutthroat personality of David Stearns. It's rubbing guys the wrong way. He didn't deal with this in Milwaukee. Hader's going to be a free agent. You send him off. That's what they do. That's what they've always done. Look at, and I'm sure this is before when Stearns got there. They traded for Sabathia, knew they weren't going to use him. They ran him into the ground years ago. That's just an organizational philosophy. They don't deal with this. Everyone loves to say, oh, well, what about Christian Yelich? Christian Yelich was with Milwaukee 2 years before he got extended. He never made it to free agency. It's a completely different story when you are being courted by other teams.
Yeah, tell me that the Brewers didn't run Prince Fielder into the ground either.
I actually ran into Cecil, his father, years ago. Tell you one thing. We had a softball tournament out here with my girls when my wife and I were coaching. Because a lot of people you guys don't know, my wife played softball all throughout college, nationals, everything. And when we were coaching, it was a Cecil Fielder tournament. And man, when you start talking about Prince to him, he's like totally devastated. Like he don't want to hear it. He's like, I don't even want to talk about it. It gets him choked up. It wasn't about the money for Prince. It was more about he knew he could be a Hall of Famer, and that neck injury took him out.
Mm-hmm.
Kev says, how is it too early to fire Stearns when he failed last offseason and the trade deadline? This is 3 consecutive bad trading periods. Well, you say periods, I say years. You got to give him at least 3 years. And look, clearly Cohen is, because Cohen ain't stepping in, Dan, anytime soon. He hasn't.
Don't forget his first season, too. I mean, he goes to the NLCS Game 6 in his first year under the helm. That'll buy you a couple years, yeah.
Yeah, I agree totally. Bob checks in, another one of the members. Stearns misread the market this year in a very big way. Smart guys are willing to adapt and own their mistakes. I haven't seen this from Stearns yet. Well, maybe you will if it continues that way, but who knows? Maybe there's a big trade up his sleeve. That's why it's hard to kind of, CPAP says Beltran would be the perfect manager for the Mets. Hey, we had him for like 5 seconds. PB9 says, are we more anti knowing that there may not be baseball in 27? Maybe. I'm actually, I don't want to say I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to these rules changing, because what's happening with the Dodgers and how they're manipulating things, even though we could spend with them, it's having a $700 million contract deferred at 90% is just absolutely absurd. And I want to see, believe it or not, I love baseball as a whole. I want to see the Marlins compete one day. I want to see the Pirates compete. I think it's BS that you have a team in Colorado out there that has zero chance every single year to even win 70 games. Doesn't matter. They could have all the greatest prospects. They'll all be Dodgers eventually. That's an issue. Russ, a good friend of mine over on X, Nolan McClain will never be extended by Dollar Dave. Maybe. Amanda, one of our new members, losing these 3 guys gives the team bad juju for other players potentially coming in. I could absolutely see it. I'm not saying you're wrong. Metaphonic says, one way to fix problems in the clubhouse, just put Mike Puma's desk in the clubhouse to report any and all arguments or scuffles or cold shoulders. All players would be on their best behavior. That is great and priceless. And with that said, Dan, final words.
It's been a tough week.
I think we need a vacation.
Yeah, I'm excited to go to Florida for the next few days. We'll be accessible. Don't worry. We'll bring you probably a live or two down from Florida. That should be fun. But it's been a tough week, Ray. You know it. I know it. Seeing Pete Alonso in a Baltimore Orioles jersey, seeing Edwin Díaz in a Dodger jersey, seeing Brandon Nimmo now in a Texas jersey. Steve Cohen is clearly showing that he's letting David Stearns have a Burger King type off season done his way. Well, hopefully it works out, and it's a long off season. Stay patient, Mets fans. We'll be right here with you throughout the whole off season, and hopefully it's going to be a really good 2026. I'm still holding out hope that they're going to put a competitive playoff caliber, World Series caliber team on the field. So hopefully they do, right? But God bless everybody, and thank you for joining us on this Friday night.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. All the new members, the super chats. Thanks so much. Believe it or not, it is not free to book these guests and get these people on the program. So I thank you guys so much for supporting our work. With that said, if there is breaking news, I will do my damnedest to bring it to you. But my wife is ready to explode with my second daughter any second now. It could be tomorrow, anywhere up to next Saturday. So if breaking news happens, stick with me. I'll try to bring it to you at night. I may miss a day and bring it to you a day later. Don't hate me, hate my new daughter. I don't know what to tell you, but but I'm looking forward to it. Another Mets fan is born, and regardless of what happens to this team, we are ride or die, and we're ride or die with you guys. Look, we sucked last year. We were here every single post game, and you guys are here with us. Thanks so much. Until next time, God bless.
Let's go Mets, everybody.